See, one rundown apartment plus 2 knockout girls and an all-American boy equals 1/3 the rent and 3 times the fun.
Well, he called us knockouts.
You can't believe anything you read in the papers these days.
Three's Company was a popular sitcom that aired on ABC for 8 seasons from March 1977 to September 1984. It was based on the British series Man About the House. The sitcom followed the adventures of 3 single roommates, Jack Tripper, played by John Ritter, Janet Wood, played by Joyce DeWitt, and Chrissy Snow, played by Suzanne Somers, and their landlords Helen and Stanley Roper, played by Audra Lindley and Norman Fell, who all lived in an apartment building in the small seaside beach community of Santa Monica, California. Most of the action took place in either the roommates' second-floor apartment, 201, or their landlord's first-floor apartment, 101. As is often the case, the setting became an important character in the show. During its run, Three's Company gave the impression that the apartment was a small and inviting rendezvous. However, this belied the true size of the much larger property that would slowly be revealed via casual hints dropped during each episode, often with specific apartment numbers and numerous tenants being mentioned by name or shown in person, and particular features of the building also shown or mentioned. This video is an exploration of the Hacienda Palms apartments. How did apartment 201 sit above apartment 101 even though they had entirely different interior layouts? Exactly how big was the apartment building? Who were some of the other tenants that lived there? And where in Santa Monica was the building supposed to be located? After considering the many clues presented throughout the series, I've come to realize that the Hacienda Palms apartment building was a lot bigger than we imagined. Join me for a tour of the Hacienda Palms as we visit with the neighbors, explore the building layout, review the ground rules, and discover the likely neighborhood in Santa Monica where the apartments were likely located. And stick around until the end when I pitch my concept for a potential series that could honor the original show and its cast of characters. Over the years, several talented people have created floor plans, renderings, and models, primarily featuring the apartment 201 interior, with some also featuring the building exterior. I'll provide links to these creators and a list of other key references and resources in the description of this video. While these designs focused on apartment 201, I wanted to take a step further and closely match apartment 101 with its set design. I began by learning basic SketchUp in order to develop a preliminary model for apartments 201 and 101 that was consistent with details of the show. My first attempt prioritized the connecting stairway, but this led to inconsistencies with the alignment of other apartment features that emerged from the show and that are mentioned later in this video. With my second iteration, I prioritized stacking the 2 apartments so that they aligned properly and then adjusted the stairs accordingly. As I continued my research, my goal quickly expanded to visualizing how the entire apartment house was configured and to create a conceptual model for the entire building. And finally, it became a project about the building and all the neighbors that lived in it. Here is what I discovered.
You're right. That young couple next door, they've been ripped off twice.
You mean Horace and Mike?
Are you peeping at that blonde again? The blonde you're always peeping at?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The one in 105?
107.
Sylvia. Who? Sylvia. The blonde with the sports car.
I saw her last week. She was driving around with her top down.
Oh.
Finally fixed the toilet, 301.
Maxine said that
Who's Maxine?
She's a tenant in 301.
301?
You know, the redhead, the one with the beautiful soft skin.
I thought you said you never touched her.
Well,
What about Mrs. Wilson in 301? You see the way she's been smiling at me lately?
She's just showing off her new teeth. that for?
I got good news. I fixed the garbage disposal in 207.
You want to call the LA Times or shall I?
You know what was wrong with the garbage disposal? They never use it. They eat out all the time.
Here, you pretend you're the man.
Just for a couple of minutes, then I gotta do the toilet in 306.
Was that bleached blonde up in 307?
What about her?
You were always up in her apartment, inspecting her pipes.
Sure. Hey, it happened once before. You remember that woman in 206? She was nuts about me.
You mean that old lady that they put in the home so she wouldn't hurt herself? And there was this woman who was always behind in her rent. And one day she came down to our apartment with dollar bills stuck all over her nude body. And she said to Stanley, she said, well, if you want your rent, you're just gonna have to take it off me. Did you know that 301 and 204 are having an affair?
Oh, hi, girls. Hi, Mrs. Roper. What are you ladies up to?
Oh, nothing, just a little gossip.
You know, there's no such thing as a little gossip, but that's not for me. I got more important things to do.
Okay, anyway, 301 is messing around with 204, see? And
Wait a second. That's not what I heard. I hear it was 301 and 106.
I thought you didn't like gossip, Jack.
That's not gossip, Chrissy. That's the truth. I got it right from the horse's mouth, 207.
You'd believe 207 after what he did with 306?
207 had a thing with 306?
And 105.
I didn't know that.
Neither did 306.
I'm gonna go heat up some more coffee, but if my number comes up, call me, okay?
You got the outside of the building painted, maybe you could rent those 2 empty apartments.
All right. I'll do it. No, I move you to 305.
305, that's so tiny.
And dark.
Yeah, with a view of a brick wall.
Well, beggars can't be viewsters.
You know these people?
In a way.
Well, you see, in a way, see, we're neighbors. We live in the apartment upstairs. Looks just like this one. We make this mistake all the time. The wife and I sometimes don't know where we're going to wake up. Isn't that right, Sugar Dumpling?
Okay, Philip.
What a shame. You know, the apartment next door was for rent yesterday, but they just took the sign down.
I sure did. We're all going to be such good neighbors.
Then you're the new owner.
Well, not exactly. My brother Bart bought the building, but I'm going to be the new manager. Landlord in residence, so to speak. I'll be in total charge, and I run a tight ship, let me tell you.
That's such a coincidence. I'm one of your tenants, 304.
Well, here's looking at you, 304. It's that Mrs. Murphy in 209. Her rent's due, and every time I go to collect it, she does something crazy. Terrible. Yeah, I can't stand her. Bird. Keeps insulting me.
Huh?
Oh, she's got this parrot trained to call me nasty names.
This is Mr. Furley, our landlord, and he cuts all the roast beef in the building.
With a blowtorch?
Yes, with the blowtorch.
Well, I gotta run. I gotta go. There's a rump roast in 304.
Making sandwiches.
No, I just helped a new tenant up with her groceries. 3 big bags up 3 flights of stairs. Oh, Mrs. Moore, you didn't have to do...
Call me Gladys. Mrs. makes me feel like an old lady.
He told me I was fired.
He what?
Fired? Why?
One of the tenants called him and complained about me.
He didn't tell you which tenant, did he?
No, but I know who it was.
You do?
Yeah, Mrs. Simpson in 208, she hates me.
No, Mr. Furley, it wasn't Mrs. Simpson.
It wasn't? How do you know?
Because it was probably Mrs. Adams in 206. She hates you.
And Dr. Anderson is looking for an apartment for his niece.
Yeah, she'll be here in 2 weeks.
It's a sharp shooting pain.
And I heard there was a vacancy in 302.
Yes, I wonder if I could see it.
Sure. Did you know that a very prominent physician is taking an apartment in this building? Friend of Terry's. A Dr.
Anderson?
Yeah, great arm man. Yeah. He's renting it for his niece. Says she's going to be moving in a couple of weeks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, you got señorita problems, Jefe?
No, Terry's giving a class for the tenants in our building in CPR.
She'll be dancing again in no time.
Okay, everyone, that's it for tonight's class. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming down.
All right.
Bye.
Janet, wait. Janet, listen, I invited our new neighbor up for a glass of vino.
That gorgeous guy in 302?
Well, yeah, if you like that sort of thing.
Oh, we do.
He said he was dying to meet you girls.
He did?
Yeah, after I told him how hard up you were for dates.
Oh, Jack!
Bill! Hey, come on in. Girls, this here is Bill Rogers. This is Janet.
Hello.
And Terry.
Hi.
I told you about them.
Yeah, but Jack, you lied to me. They're not homely at all. Just kidding, Jack.
Yeah, well, tell them that.
Burley. Oh, did my husband speak to you about our light switch?
No.
Well, he tried to fix it, but I'm afraid he just made matters worse.
When will you tenants learn not to go lousing up the building? That's my job.
Carol? Choking Carol?
Are you nuts?
He was massaging my neck.
See? He was massaging. I thought he was killing you.
Why? They're back together again. What? Yeah.
They made up? Thanks to me.
What about me? I was the one that split them up in the first place. Whoops.
And you want me to fix it, right?
Oh, would you, Mr. Furley?
Whoa, Nellie. Electronics is the one field I am not an expert in.
Really?
Yeah, I found that out when I fixed the plug on Mrs. Gordon's aquarium and fried 3 of her guppies.
Mr. Furley, can you keep a secret?
Can I keep a secret? I didn't tell anyone about Mrs. Henderson's wig, did I?
No. Mrs. Henderson wears a wig?
She's as bald as an eagle. But you didn't hear it from me. Okay, what gift?
Leslie, this is my roommate, Janet. Janet Leslie Bennington.
Hi.
First Terry, now you. Mr. Furley was right.
About what?
He said these apartments were beautifully decorated.
Oh, Leslie. How long have you been here?
Well, I arrived a few days ago, saw an ad in the paper, and got the flat right next to yours, as luck would have it.
Yeah. As luck would have it.
So.
She must be a stray.
Great!
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's not get any ideas. We can't keep her.
Why not?
You know the rule, no pets or else Furley would throw us out.
Oh, he's all talk.
Oh, yeah? Remember how he threw Mrs. Kalinsky out when he caught her with a pet?
That was a boa constrictor.
Who's there?
I live next door. I want to talk to the sax player.
That's me.
Hey, you sound great, really. Thank you very, very much.
I'm Arlene Price.
Jack Tripper, how are you?
Good, Jack.
Well, here goes my night off. It's gonna be a lovely dress. We'll have the second fitting tomorrow night. Good night, Bill.
You're not fooling me with that second fitting. You don't even have a tape measure.
Your stew's not very good, but at least I'm used to it.
Oh, I'm sorry to bust in on you like this. I can't let you eat that, Mr. Roper.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
No, hey, trust me.
Hey, hey, hey.
I'll just shove it down the sink here.
Stop it.
I'll explain later, Mr. Roper.
That was my dinner.
Yes, well, good night.
Oh, where's the bathroom? Or are we in it?
No, you just go right down the hall, Lisa, and turn left, and you'll see the little Tinkletorium right over there, okay?
Oh, yeah? Yeah, look, honey, about all that noise you were making last
Oh,
night.
yeah. Mrs. Roper, I am really sorry. I was gonna come down.
Yeah, right through the ceiling, we thought. I didn't mind all the music, but Ooh, all that foul language.
There wasn't any foul language.
You weren't down there with Mr. Roper.
Well, we weren't the only ones making noise. He was beating on the ceiling with a broom handle.
You said it was real quick thrusts.
No, but this is Tripper's procedure.
Who's that? That's Furley saving a phone call. No, it makes me wish we had separate beds.
Oh, yeah, what are we gonna do about that $50?
Why don't you just ask your landlord for an extension?
Mr. Roper, are you kidding? He's the cheapest man alive. I bet he's got every dollar he's ever made sewn inside his mattress.
Oh, hi, Mr. Furley.
There's a leak in your shower and it's dripping down into my bathroom.
Oh, and you came by to fix it?
No, I just came by to tell you about it. I don't care if the whole building floats away.
Hey, Chris, I better catch Larry before he gets rid of those tickets. It's gonna be so much fun! Wilkes dribbles down foul line, cross-courts the ball to Dantley. Dantley fakes out the center, goes up, bounces the ball to Norm. Nixon looks around, throws the ball to Jabbar. Jabbar takes it and says, "Thanks, Shorty." Bounces the ball a couple times, turns for his famous pivot jump shot, and there he goes!
Jack! Did you fall?
Oh, Jack, did you fall?
Are you all...
Do you realize what we're doing?
Trust me.
First, take your hand off me.
I'm trying to help you up.
Then I would rather you grab my arm.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's so dark out here.
Dick.
Foot.
What?
My foot!
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know how I let you talk.
Chrissy, is that you? Oh, dear. Chrissy!
What's the matter?
There's someone out there.
That's impossible.
Did you hear that?
No. I didn't hear that either.
I've had it. I don't care whose mother's.
Don't be going for Chrissy.
Oh, hi. Come on in. Gee, what
Thanks for helping me with my stuff from the cab. You don't have to take them inside. I wasn't gonna. Hi. Anything for me?
Oh, it's you. Where'd you spring from?
I've been walking behind you since you got off the bus.
Why didn't you say something?
I was enjoying the view from the rear.
That's not my best feature.
You've never seen it walking up the stairs.
This is terrible.
What?
These windows are filthy. Must have been weeks since they were washed.
Months.
Well, look at that. There's houses across the street. Oh.
Well, what do you know?
No, I said that we weren't going to have dinner here tonight. Because, see, my roommate's sick.
Well, then where are we having dinner?
How about upstairs in Larry's apartment? Now you take this. It's number 304. You just take this key and go upstairs.
Okay.
Fix yourself a drink, and I'll get dinner ready. Okay?
Oh, Jacques, you must think I am just a big baby, huh?
Quick, it's Leslie. Come on,
What do
hurry.
you mean it's Leslie?
Get over there, just get over there and
Will
listen.
you stop with this?
Listen.
That's Leslie.
What does that make you? You're arguing with me, idiot.
And that's a girl.
That's no girl. That's the Duchess. Well, that's where he's hiding the money.
Look, Leslie's going out.
Oh, the big rat. I wonder who he's gonna meet this time. Mr. Roper? What can we do for you?
Well, it's about the garden.
What garden?
My garden.
You mean that jungle out behind the garages?
There's a terrific garden out there underneath all those weeds. And anyway, I thought your kids should have the use of it.
For what, safaris?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. Mrs. Roper's been nagging me about it. I mean, she's really gone nuts since she's taken this flower arranging course.
Oh, and now she'd like some homegrown flowers to arrange?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there could be a terrific lawn out there. You know, once you've cleared it and got rid of it.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, once we've cleared it?
Oh, I thought you'd volunteer for the job.
Why would we do that?
Let me put it this way. Who would get the most pleasure out of the garden?
You would.
Who would enjoy the exercise?
Not us.
Who can't afford a raise in the rent? It's a dictatorship, Helen. I tell you, we're living in a police state.
Well, all they're doing is putting a parking meter in front of our house.
It's going to cost me a fortune to park outside my own front door. 2 beers, Joe.
And I'll have a gin on the rocks.
You know, I got to run outside and put a quarter in that meter every 2 hours.
It's the Roper's garage.
Aha.
Yeah. When they moved, they left a lot of stuff in there, and they said we could do anything we wanted with it.
Yeah, so we're gonna sell it all to raise money for the rent.
Right.
Hi, Larry.
Oh, hi, Janet. Oh, Janet. Are you going out?
Yeah.
He's very observant.
I'm going to the laundromat.
Oh, that's great.
What?
I mean, have a great wash.
Well, thank you, Larry. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
It's easy, no problem.
Yeah, Chrissy, there is one problem.
The laundromat is closed.
2 problems.
Oh, Janet. I just ran into the most terrific guy in the laundry room. And I was so flustered, I just knocked his laundry all over the floor.
Couldn't you just said hello?
Cindy, we don't have a swimming pool.
But I thought Chrissy said everybody down here has a pool.
Ours was stolen.
Excuse me? Is that your car parked in the driveway?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm afraid it is.
Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to move it, problem.
That's okay, Philip. That's okay. You go ahead. It'll give me a chance to change for lunch.
Oh, terrific. I'll be back in a second.
All right.
You can't let your people park in the driveway.
You've got a soft spot, too, right here.
What do you mean?
We can't keep it.
Why not?
Oh, Janet! Oh, now, come on, you guys. You know Roper's rules. No dogs or babies allowed.
Yeah, well, we're keeping half of the bargain so far.
If we keep this dog, Mr. Roper will cancel our lease. We'll be out on the street.
You know, lucky for you, you don't have a dog up here. Otherwise, you'd be out on the street. And that goes for all of you. Very strange.
Very long waiting list for this apartment, you know.
Oh, yes, Mr. Furley. I'm sure you have a long waiting list and don't think we don't appreciate this building.
Yes.
Yes.
And besides, older tenants are in less trouble.
Oh, Mr. Furley, we are aging very quickly.
So, let's just try to cooperate, all right? No more noise.
We will cooperate, I promise.
Yes, Mr. Furley, we will. We promise we'll be the best tenants you've ever had. We're really going to be good.
I don't enjoy being the bad guy, you know.
No, sir, I'm sure you don't. Goodbye.
we don't know how those burglars got in here.
Well, this key might give us a clue.
Oh, where did we keep that out there for our own use? No one else is supposed to use it.
Jack.
Yeah.
How would you like a job painting this building?
Are you kidding? Yeah.
I'll give you $50 a day.
Fantastic.
There's only one thing.
What's that?
It's got to be painted in 2 days.
Mr. Roper, there's no way I can get this building painted in 2 days.
2 times 50 is 100.
Unless I get started right away. I cannot stand it anymore. What is this big surprise?
You ready?
Yes.
Ellen, I sold the building.
What building?
This building.
This building? You sold this building? That we've lived in for 14 years without consulting me? This is my home too, Stanley. I happen to like it here and I'm not moving. And this is how much you got for it. Oh, what the hell, we were due for a change.
Hi, can I come in?
Wait a minute.
I just want to use your phone.
Well, I don't think Helen!
I just want to use your phone to call for a ride home. You see, I was demonstrating on the beach when the cops raided us.
You were one of the demonstrators?
Uh-huh.
In the,
Nude. Why do they always hassle us? All we want to do is just live a life without hang-ups, just be open and truthful.
I know what you mean. I'm the same way.
Hello, Tom? Can you pick me up? It's a long story. I'll be at the corner of Ocean and Demora. Okay. Bye. It'll only be a few minutes.
What are you doing back there anyway?
Giving the azaleas a thrill.
Where are your clothes?
We left them on the beach. When the police came, we just took off.
But that's 3 blocks away. How'd you get here from the beach?
Faster than you can imagine.
Chrissy, he means that he wants us to go in together to buy Roper's car.
We really need a car. It's murder living in this town without wheels.
Yeah, really. I mean, just to catch the bus around here, we gotta walk 10 blocks.
Oh, that's right. If we had a car, we could drive to the bus stop.
Oh, hi, guys. Hey, I thought Burley was gonna get us off you.
Think, Janet. You're talking about the man who tries to fix a leaky faucet with pruning shears.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to use a blowtorch. There's no way.
Well, listen, I was thinking the Regal Beagle is 1 little block from here, right?
Okay.
Okay, if that policeman is not here by now, it must be a false alarm. He isn't coming. I mean, he hasn't come up there yet? No, Chrissy, I'm up there by myself. I think it's safe for you guys to come home now.
Oh, let's
come
go.
on.
Come on, let's go.
This next segment explores in which Santa Monica neighborhood the Hacienda Palms apartments may have likely been located. The building shown in the opening credits of the series is actually a single-family home located on 4th Street between Ashland Avenue and Pierce Street, about 5 blocks from the beach, within the Ocean Park neighborhood. For the interesting story of how this building's whereabouts was finally identified in 2012 by an intrepid researcher, please visit the following link. If the Hacienda Palms building in the show had been situated on 4th Street, it would fit in nicely where the Pacific Vista apartments are currently located. It would also have made sense for the apartment building to be located within the Ocean Park neighborhood, since that neighborhood would have appealed to the roommates because it is more walkable, bike-friendly, closer to transit stops, has a livelier nightlife, has a more direct access to the beach, and most importantly, is more affordable than the other neighborhoods in Santa Monica. However, with all that being said, the fictitious apartment building of the show doesn't appear to have been situated at the same location as this single-family home. To recap, the Hacienda Palms appears to be a 3-story building consisting of 36 apartments located by Ocean Avenue, 3 blocks from the beach, 10 blocks from the nearest bus stop, and 1 block from the Regal Beagle. Based on the details revealed during the episodes and summarized earlier in this video, the Hacienda Palms apartment building was possibly located within or near to the quieter, more residential, north of Montana neighborhood, with many homes having a Spanish colonial or Mediterranean revival style architecture. The fictitious Demora Avenue cross street was likely a substitute for the actual Montana Avenue, or located very close by between California Avenue and Palisades Avenue. Access to the beach would have been a little less direct by having to go through Palisades Park. I could imagine Janet and Mrs. Roper using this pedestrian overpass in the episode when they ran from the beach back to the apartments. It's a bit surprising that the building would be situated within the higher-end North of Montana neighborhood and not in the Ocean Park neighborhood, since the characters in the show were often heard complaining about the crime rate in their neighborhood. The apartment's location being in the North of Montana neighborhood would also be consistent with the residential views that were visible from the Ropers' front door. A potential compromise location would place the apartment within the Ocean Park neighborhood, but closer to the beach, along the short segment of Ocean Avenue that lies between Hollister Avenue and Bicknell Avenue. Incidentally, Ye Olde King's Head and Chez J, the 2 pubs that inspired the Regal Beagle, are both located near another segment of Ocean Avenue, but in a different neighborhood, that being downtown Santa Monica. For the building model, I came up with 8 floor plans, with the name of each floor plan being inspired by the characters that live in the particular apartments. I named the last floor plan the Fountain, which is based on an actual layout for one of the condos in the building that was used in the intro to the first pilot episode. With the building location and floor plan designs out of the way, my intention was then not to make an exact replica of the individual apartments down to the last detail, but rather to develop a plausible yet somewhat faithful design for the overall building that was as consistent as possible with information revealed in the show. So without further ado, let's take a tour of the lovable space that needs your face and meet the neighbors at the Hacienda Palms apartments. They've been waiting for you.
Welcome to Hacienda Palms.
Would you like to swing on a star, carry moonbeams home in a jar, and be better off than you are? Or would you rather be a mule? A mule is an animal with long, funny ears, kicks up at anything he hears.
His back is brawny, but his brain is weak. He's just plain stupid with a stubborn streak.
And by the way, if you hate to go to school, you may grow up to be a mule.
Or would you like to swing on a star, carry moonbeams home in a jar, and be better off than you are?
Or would you rather be a pig? A new kind of jumped up slippery fish, and all the monkeys aren't in the zoo.
Every day you meet quite a few.
So you see, it's all up to you. You can be better than you are. You could be swinging on a star.
this up. Can't just keep ignoring the sign. I'll be alright, biding my time. You don't have to lie, we just need to say goodbye. It's about time. Truth comes out, truth comes out.
Thanks for watching. Working on this project got me thinking about how much I would love to see a reimagined version of Three's Company based on the original characters and set during the same time and place as the original series, but telling untold stories that overlap with the original series timeline. My premise for a series would essentially be a 3-in-1 combination: prequel, contemporaneous lost episodes, and quasi-spin-off or spin-in with the introduction of new recurring characters. The first season, which could be referred to as 1976, would follow multiple storylines leading up to Eleanor's going-away party and ending where the first episode of the original series began. The first season could follow Jack's early discharge from the Navy to living in the YMCA while studying cooking at the LA Technical College, to meeting his friend Larry and eventually crashing Eleanor's going-away party. A concurrent storyline could cover the misadventures of the original roommates, Eleanor, Janet, and Chrissy, including Eleanor's pregnancy and upcoming marriage and departure. And of course, we can't forget about Stanley and Helen Roper. A future season could foreshadow Mr. Furley's eventual introduction by including a brief storyline about his struggles with his brother Bart prior to Bart buying the building from the Ropers. After the Ropers sell the building to Bart Furley, other seasons could include new roommates Cindy Snow and Terry Alden and their new landlord Ralph Furley. The Regal Beagle pub could also feature prominently. For continuity purposes, the new episodes could also reference some of the things that happened in the original series. A new series could depend less on the extremely farcical elements that plagued the later seasons of the original series, and instead focus on character development rather than caricatures. For example, Chrissy Snow could be portrayed closer to how she was played the first 3 seasons, and not so much as she was portrayed in seasons 4 and 5. A new series could also flesh out the characters a bit more and further explore the relationships between the characters, such as the relationship between Chrissy and her cousin Cindy. It could also introduce new recurring or cameo characters from the pool of neighbors that were only mentioned in passing during the original episodes. A new show could also go a long way in correcting many of the issues with the last 4 seasons of the original series, such as making Chrissy's eventual departure feel more natural and less abrupt, and redoing, or better yet, undoing, Jack's and Janet's sudden whirlwind relationships that closed out the original series. In 2016, there was actually talk that New Line was in negotiations to produce a big screen version. However, there hasn't been any further news about this since then. The show could work as a limited-run streaming series, although it would be nice if the show could be aired by the original show network, ABC. A new series would be well received in whatever format it is produced, if it holds true to what made the original so successful, the exuberance that made people laugh and care about the characters.